So this season has potentially been the best championship season of all time. Marty Cifuentes and Danny Roll performed great recoveries down at the bottom, whilst Enzo and Maresca's Leicester did their best to bottle it. Leeds and Southampton really should have made the top two, but Ipswich beat them to it. And how did Norwich make the playoffs? All season they wanted Wagner out, but it's Wagner in for the playoffs. So the Championship is definitely the best league in the world. This season has brought up some shocks, some thrills, all throughout of it. It's been amazing. As a Sheffield United fan, I'm so happy that we're in it next season after a dreadful Premier League season, but the Championship is the gift that keeps on giving. So I think the only fair way to do this is just talking about each team a little bit. But if we look at the table, hopefully it should be here on screen right now. You can see how it ended. Leeds on 90 points. Really, they should have done better. Their run-in towards the end was easier than they made it seem. The points tally that they picked up was in the bottom 6 for the league. It's amazing that Ipswich got over the line after getting promotion last season and keeping most of their squad. And I'll touch on this later on in the video, but that middle batch, so let's say 7th to about 19th, the whole league feels like next season it could be in any order. Any of those teams could break into the playoffs. Any of those teams could get relegated. It's so exciting. So let's run through each team from top to bottom. So Leicester shouldn't have really got relegated last season. Rodgers was in charge alongside Dean Smith. In this season, they've had Maresca playing a City brand of football, I suppose you could say. You know what, there's no point in me listing off all the players. Vardy ended up getting 18 goals. He was their top scorer this season. Quite frankly, I feel like they should have beat 100 points. I know that it's been a competitive season. Football's unpredictable. The Championship is unpredictable. But they never really got firing. They had a lot of good performances, don't get me wrong. It's very interesting to see how they do in the Premier League next season, because I really think Enzo Maresca needs to do something about the way that he plays for them to properly adapt. If you told me 2 years ago that Ipswich were going to get promoted to the Premier League, I wouldn't have believed you. Kieran Mckenna came in, 2 promotions in a row, with, on paper, a squad which is lower Championship, top League One. Keeping most of the squad from last season's promotion from League One was something which was seen as risky, but a lot of people had a feeling that they'd push for the playoffs, but top 2 with 96 points is incredible. They've been so good in attack. Kiefer Moore came in on loan in January. The defence has been solid. Edmondson, who was signed from a team in League 1 or 2, sorry for not knowing the exact team. The way that they play football is intense counter-attack, and in a way they've been better this season in the Championship than they were last season, because teams are trying to play the game to them, and with George Hurst holding up the ball and getting in behind, running the channels, setting up players like Hutchinson and Wes Burns, and I'm oversimplifying a lot, but they're incredible. It's really exciting to see how they do in the Premier League. I feel like they're going to be a dark horse next season. Everybody's going to be writing them off. Serial promotion winner, Daniel Farke, bottled it for Leeds. I'm not sure whether they've got the best squad in the league because there's Leicester. They've definitely got the second best team in the league with Southampton a close third. I don't really know what happened. With a strong defence all season, the end of season running, they've really bottled it. Somerville and Rutter have been their main attackers this season, and they didn't really perform towards the end. I just feel like with the quality of the squad that they've got, they could have done so much better. And they're another side who could have pushed for 100 points, but they ended up on 90, 6 points off of Autos. So we're in 4th, and we've already covered all of the relegated teams from last season from the Premier League. Southampton sitting 4th. I feel like Russell Martin's really grew into it. It's the first time in his career which he's finished in the top 10. With the squad that they've got at the disposal, including proven goal scorer Adam Armstrong, 4th is really bare minimum. In the run-in as well, they had 2 more games compared to everybody else because of a tight fixture list. So for the last few weeks, we've been playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. And I feel if the fixtures had evened themselves out, they would have finished stronger. West Brom were in 5th, and Corberan has worked his magic again. I'm not saying that they've not got a top 6 squad, but what I'm saying is that there's a lot of teams like Hull, Middlesbrough, Coventry, who could have easily pipped them. They've been consistent all season, they've been solid, putting up some of the best defensive numbers that we've seen all season. And Corberan, you can tell that he's worked with Bielsa. He knows exactly how to iron out teams he's playing against. It's very exciting to see how they're going to do for the playoffs. Everybody's probably written off those in the team that I'm going to speak about next, and it's exciting to see if either of those can get promotion. How on earth are Norwich still a chance of getting promotion? All season they've wanted Wagner out. It's amazing to think as well that they only got relegated from the Premier League a couple of seasons ago. There's a weird feeling about the squad, and I can't explain it why. They have got a good squad. They've got Sargent, they've got Sarah, they've got Barnes playing as a weird target man 10. And realistically, if you look at the Championship from top to bottom, they probably are top 6. But it's just so weird how they've wanted the manager out all season, and they're potentially going to be in the Premier League next season. I want them to get promoted just because of how funny it'd be. So Hull sacked Liam Senior a couple of days ago after finishing 7th place. In January, they brought in about 20 bloody players to try and bolster the squad. And I feel like Rossini's being done in a bit here, because I feel like finishing 3 points off the playoffs in a championship where sometimes games are just based on luck, especially around that Christmas run-in, where you don't have much time to prepare for games. You just get them out of the way. Players are pretty shattered. All it takes is an extra 3 or 4 points in that period, and they'd have been in the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Hull owner has up his sleeve this time. Middlesbrough are a weird one because they had such a slow start to this season. Everybody knew that they'd turn around. They did turn it around. In the end, they finished 4 points off of the playoffs in a squad which lost its key players from last season, like Akpom and Archer. Bringing in some young guns like Latte Lath took some adaptation. I feel like they'll be strong next season, but they need to make the playoffs next season, otherwise something will have to change, whether it's Carrick or the playing staff. Mark Robbins has worked wonders again at Coventry, getting them a 9th place finish. They could have gone higher after starting the season slowly again like Middlesbrough. Around the mid-season mark, they changed from a 5-3-2 to a 4-2-3-1, and they were fantastic. That semi-final in the FA Cup against Manchester United really personified the season. First off, a 5-3-2 defensive, narrow, structured system where they just didn't play very well. Second half, changed to a 4-2-3-1, trying to attack the game, and look at how well they did. After losing Hamer and Gyok, they did also need to recover from that. And it's exciting to see where they will go from next season, especially if it can bolster that squad a little bit more, because I've seen on X that quite a few of the Cov fans still feel like they need to get rid of about 8 players and replace them. So there's still a squad which, working with a tight budget after getting a couple of promotions in the last 10 years, they're on the rise. So after being in the playoffs for quite a bit of the season, Ryan Lowe's Preston ended up finishing in 10th, 10 points off of the playoffs, and the squad quality just isn't good enough for the playoffs. I feel like Ryan Lowe is taking the squad to its limit. They bring in some clever players like Will Keenan, but with news that Captain Alan Brown is apparently going to Coventry, I feel like if the option's there for Ryan Lowe, now would be the right time for him to jump ship. If not, Preston fans, I'll be honest with you, I don't think you're going to be doing as well next season. In 11th, we've got Manning's Bristol City. So at the start of the season, they had Pearson. He's been there for a few years. When he got sacked, they didn't like it, but they knew it had to be done. They knew that it was underperforming. They had a real identity, they had a club ethos, but Liam Manning's come in from Oxford after doing well at the start of the season, and he has turned it around for them. Quite exciting to see how they do next season. Liam Manning's known for a really boring style of football, so Bristol City fans, you're used to it, but you're in for more of the same. But you might push on next season. In 12th, we've got Cardiff, potentially the best team in the league for scoring set-piece goals, but one of the worst for open play goals. They're too one-dimensional. They do have a pretty decent squad overall. I feel like the manager Bolu deserves to stay for another season. Millwall finished in 13th. How? Harris's new manager balance coming back. He knows the club. It worked. Gary Rowett had run his course for the club. Joe Edwards came in and was absolutely useless. Key signings in January like Tanganga, and Harris coming back in to save the day. How they'll do in the summer and next season, anybody's guess. 14th, Swansea. After Mike Duff came in the summer, I thought it was a good appointment. He did well at Barnsley last season, but Swansea fans are one of the few clubs in England who have to have a manager who plays a certain style of football. Luke Williams was their man, and they ended up getting him from Notts County. Since then, he's come in and he's potentially been doing better than what Duff was without pre-season. They have a limited budget. They do have some good players like Matt Grimes, and they're playing the Swansea way again. It wouldn't surprise me if next season they do well. Watford. I don't even know where to start with them. They've ended the season with Tom Cleverley as manager. Pretty good playing squad on paper. Extremely underwhelming performances. And quite frankly, I feel like they could have easily got top 6 this season with the squad that they've got. They only came down from the Premier League a couple of seasons ago. Has the Watford cycle and ethos of just sacking managers constantly, constant churn of players, is that not working anymore? A lot of questions have to be asked. So in 16th, we've got Sunderland, the youngest squad in the Championship by far. Mowbray was doing well, but then they sacked him for some reason with no real plan of who to come in after that. And Mick Beale, after having one good job in managerial football, wasn't very good. With how young their squad is, with how many players need developing, and they need someone to put their arm around them, Sunderland need to get it right this summer. They could easily get relegated next season. I genuinely believe that. But let's say they could also get top 6. Every season I feel like Stoke are going to end up getting the top 6 or top half. Every season they have an underwhelming start, get a new manager in, recover it, end up finishing lower mid-table, press the reset button, and then we'll get excited again. This time they've got Schumacher. On paper they have got a good squad. They've got a good squad. So have a lot of teams in the Championship. So next season I want to see them pushing on, because I find it bizarre how no matter who they've got as manager, whether it was Rout when they first came down, Alex Neil, Schumacher, I don't know how they always manage to underperform so poorly. There's something rotten at that club. We need the rot to go. Cifuentes came in at QPR in 23rd. Ainsworth had the squad playing the worst football in the league, other than Sheffield Wednesday. We're on to them later. but they've managed to finish in 18th place. Ainsworth was known for playing tight Route 1 football. Cifuentes has come in and he's kept it tight whilst also playing attacking football. The defensive record has been fantastic. Steve Cook's been great. Jimmy Dunn at right back, bombing on, even though he's meant to be a centre back, has been brilliant. They've been playing like a mid-tables team, and the fact that they've stayed up is no surprise. If Cifuentes stays in the summer, I feel like they'll push top half next season easily. Blackburn scored 60 goals this season. Schmodic's got 27 of them. They finished 19th. John Dole Thomason was known for playing good football, but wasn't getting results. They bring in John Eustace. He's managed to stop them from falling down. Tyree Stone's contract is out in the summer. I feel like losing Watson in January is going to affect them even more next season as well. I don't know where Blackburn go. I don't think they have much going for them right now, I'll be honest. Yeah, they stayed up this season. I don't think that they should have even been down there. But with the strength in the league, they do need strength in the summer. As a Blaze fan, I hate to say it, Danny Roll was definitely in the top 3 managers this season in the Championship. Dead bottom after the first few games of the season. Darren Moore left in the summer, they brought in Cisco Munoz. And I don't know how he spectacularly fucked up so badly. Fact is, since Roll's come in, they've been a top half team easily. They've played on the front foot, they've had clear tactical patterns. I thought Barry Bannon will past it, but clearly not. The biggest question is as to whether they'll actually keep him in the summer, Danny Roll I'm talking about, because he's going to have some suitors. This is his first proper job in managerial football, and how amazing he's done. So the two teams that I've spoken about there, Blackburn and Wednesday, both stayed up on final day with wins. Another side that got a win was Plymouth Argyle. Neil Dewsnip, as manager, director of football, came in after hiring Ian Foster, who spectacularly underperformed. First job in managerial football in a relegation threatened side in the Championship, coming in mid-season was never a good idea. Schumacher started the season well with them, getting the best out of key players from last season like Whittaker and Hardy. With the squad that they've got on paper, they should have been going down, but they stayed up. They've done really well this season. They don't have one of the biggest budgets in the league. Some clever investment this summer is needed, but well done Argyle on staying up. Birmingham, after the first few games of this season, was sitting in the top 6, with John Eustace as manager playing really good football. New owners come in, sack John Eustace, bring Wayne Rooney in. They want to play attacking football. Rooney tries his best to implement it. They played awfully. The Birmingham Rock Stars. After having Rooney for about half of the season, they brung in Tony Mowbray. They discovered some form with Mowbray. They were playing much better football. Mowbray is clearly one of the best Championship managers. And then he became ill. They had to get Gary Rowett in, former manager. He did really well with them a few years ago until the previous regime sacked him. And he just couldn't keep them up in the end. On the plus side, Birmingham fans, you have a very good team. You've clearly got owners that are committed to the club. A couple of years, I think you'll be back. Huddersfield went down with one of the smallest budgets in the league. Poor manager appointments, including Darren Moore. It's no surprise. They got the playoffs a couple of seasons ago with Corberan, and looked how far they've dropped since losing him. As I was saying earlier, Corberan is clearly one of the best managers in the league. And with poor investment into the squad alongside a lack of investment into the squad, Huddersfield were always going to go down eventually. It is quite sad after the Stuart Webber regime where they had Wagner get them promoted, what must have been nearly a decade ago now. How they've fallen. Then bottom of the league, poor old Rotherham. After staying up last season, with Paul Ward making a terrific start, and then Matt Taylor did well towards the end of last season. The downfall in form was always going to happen. This season they started off poor, then they brought in Liam Richardson with barely any Championship experience. I feel like if you're trying to fight in the Championship, everybody from the outside looking in knew it was a poor appointment. They've now got Steve Evans, and they've played a bit more of an offensive style of football in the last couple of games this season since he came from Stevenage. He knows the club, and he has got an upturn in form. I feel like Rotherham, with Steve Evans in charge, we might see them promoted from League One next season. Really, this Championship season has been one of the best for years. I thoroughly enjoyed it as a Blades fan. Watching it has been better than watching my own team. The highs and lows of teams being in the top 6, like Birmingham, and then end up being relegated, or Sheffield Wednesday and QPR staying up with relatively unknown managers. Roll, Cifuentes, Schumacher, Manning, Bullu, Maresca, Mckenna, all Championship managers who had never managed in the division before, coming in and doing fantastic. I feel like teams, including Plymouth and Millwall, hiring Ian Foster and Joe Edwards, may have learnt the lesson on hiring inexperienced managers in a relegation fight in the Championship in mid-season. So as it stands next season, we've got Portsmouth and Derby joining us. I don't think they're going to quite do what Ipswich did, but they're both sides who should be in this division. It's going to be Bolton or Oxford coming up. I feel like if Bolton come up, they won't go down. I feel like Oxford come up, they'll struggle not to go down. Coming down from the Premier League, we've got Sheffield United. A big summer rebuild is needed with a low budget. I don't think we're going to do very well next season, but let's see. Burnley and Luton are most probably going to be the other sides to come down. They'll be very, very strong. They've invested a lot in Burnley's case and smartly in Luton's case, and I don't see that stopping. I feel like they'll be forces to be reckoned with. So what's your thoughts on the Championship this season? Who do you support? How did they do? Let me know all down in the comments. Personally, as a Blades fan, I'm so happy that this season is finally over. Next season, we may have some games where we're going to and think that we might actually win. It's early doors in my YouTube career. Watch some of the previous content I've made. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time, guys.